Good afternoon, First Baptist Church. Welcome to the Monday blog. We've been going through the book of James, verse by verse, step by step. And today we're in James 3, starting at verse 10. So let me share my screen as I start to explain what goes on when we're a believer, or how we should be when we're a believer. It says this: from the same mouth come what? Blessing and cursing. And then he goes on, he says, my brothers. So he's talking about believers here. These things ought not to be so. So if we're a believer in Jesus Christ, we should not be like the world, where in one moment we're speaking blessing, the next moment we're speaking cursing. But yet in the church, that tends to happen. We see it all the time with everybody, whether you're a believer or not. And then James goes on to tell us why not. So he says, does a spring pour forth from the same opening both fresh and salt water? And of course not. Right? A spring doesn't decide that it's going to pour fresh water one day and then it's going to pour salt water the next day. That's not how it works at all. It either pours one or the other. And he's going to go on and tell us that a fresh water is what we want, right? We want to pour life into people. We want to grow our irrigation. We want things to drink. But salt water, it doesn't produce life, at least in humans, right? It does. It's not good for the crops that we want to grow in this part of the world. Salt water would destroy those things. It brings about death, where fresh water brings about life. And that's what we should be about. If we love Jesus, then fresh water, fresh life should flow from our mouth. And he goes on to tell us why and how this happens, right? He says, can a fig tree, my brothers, so he's talking to believers, bear olives? Well, of course not. It's going to bear figs, because that's what it is. It's a fig tree. And then it goes on, can a grapevine produce figs? Well, of course not. It's going to produce grapes, because that's what it is. So if we're going to produce fresh water, then we must be about the freshness of life that is Jesus Christ. That's what's in our heart. And if Christ is in our heart, then that's what flows out of us. Because we are Christ, because we love Jesus, goodness and blessing pour from us. Life pours out of us, not salt, right? A salt pond does not produce fresh water. If we are salty inside, if we are angry inside, if we're the world's inside, then we're not going to produce goodness or lasting goodness and blessing out of our mouth. And that's exactly what God wants us to do as followers of Jesus Christ. So think about that as we go forth. Is who are you? Do we love Jesus enough that he's in our heart? And because he's in our heart, does that produce everything to overflow and outpour out of us to other people? So thank you for tuning in today, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Have a wonderful day.